There's a difference between missing someone and refusing to accept that they're gone. And I think a lot of men get stuck in that space. You tell yourself you're just giving it time. You tell yourself she needs space. You tell yourself she's confused. Maybe she's going through something. Maybe she'll realize what we had. Maybe if I say the right thing, do the right thing, become the person she wanted me to become, she'll come back. And before you know it, you're not living your life anymore. You're living in a waiting room, waiting for a person who may never walk through that door. And I know this because I've been there. There was a time when I was so focused on getting my ex back that I was basically plotting my way back into her life. I was thinking about what I could say, what I could do, how I could make her see me differently, how I could somehow create the right circumstances for us to reconnect. And honestly, it destroyed me at the time because every day became about something that wasn't happening. I wasn't really moving forward. I was trying to manipulate the future into giving me the ending I wanted. And eventually, I had to ask myself a question that I really didn't want to answer. What if she's not coming back? And that's the question I want to explore with you today. Not because I think you should stop caring, not because I think you should pretend the relationship didn't matter, but because there comes a point where accepting reality might be the most loving thing you can do for yourself. I want to show you why. So let's get honest about what happens after that. Because when somebody pulls away from you, your first instinct probably isn't acceptance, it's negotiation. You start thinking there has to be something you can do. Maybe there's something you didn't say. Maybe you came on too strong. Maybe you didn't try hard enough. Maybe if she could just see the version of you that exists now, she'd change her mind. And I understand that. I know I did. There was a point where I wasn't just hoping my ex would come back. I was thinking about how I could make it happen. I was plotting. I was thinking about what I could say, what I could do, how I could position myself so that maybe she'd look at me differently. And at the time, I convinced myself I was fighting for something I loved. But looking back, I think I was really fighting reality. And there's a difference. Because when someone has made the decision to leave, you can spend months trying to find the perfect combination of words that will undo that decision. Well, what are you really doing? You're trying to control somebody else's choice, and you can't. You can influence people, you can apologize, you can grow, you can become a better man, but you can't make somebody love you. And I think that's one of the hardest things for a man to accept, because we're used to fixing things. If something is broken, we want to figure out how to repair it. If we make a mistake, we want another opportunity. But relationships don't always work that way. Sometimes the thing that's broken isn't waiting for you to fix it. Sometimes it's over. And I know how painful that sentence can be. Here's where I want to challenge you. Forget getting her back for a minute. Seriously, forget it. Forget what she's doing. Forget who she's talking to. Forget whether she's dating somebody else. Forget whether she's thinking about you. You don't know. And honestly, you don't need to know. Because there's something incredibly strange that happens when you lose somebody. You can become more interested in the life they're living without you than the life you're actually living. Think about that. You're sitting there wondering what she's doing tonight, while your own life is happening right in front of you. And I know how easy that is. You tell yourself you're just curious, you're just checking, you're just seeing how she's doing. But sometimes you're not looking for information, you're looking for hope. You're looking for something, anything, that gives you a reason to believe the story isn't finished. And that's where you can lose yourself. Because eventually, you're not trying to live without her. You're trying to live in a way that might somehow bring her back. And that's not freedom. And maybe the hardest thing I can tell you is this: more often than not, she's probably not coming back. I know, that's not the romantic answer. It's not the answer you want to hear, but if she told you it's over, believe her. Don't sit around waiting for the movie ending where she suddenly realizes what she lost, runs back to you, and everything becomes perfect. That's not a plan. That's a fantasy. And you can't build your life around a fantasy. Maybe she comes back someday. Maybe she doesn't. But your life can't be put on pause while you wait to find out. Because what if she never does? Are you really going to give her another 6 months to that question? Another year? 5 years? At what point do you decide that your life is worth moving forward with, even without the answer you wanted? There's a book called The Mountain Is You by Brianna Weiss that talks about how sometimes we can become our own obstacle. And that idea really sticks with me here, because maybe the mountain isn't losing her. Maybe the mountain isn't your refusal to accept that you've lost her. You're fighting something that already happened. You're trying to negotiate with the past, and the past doesn't negotiate. It's already happened. So what happens if you stop fighting it? Not because you suddenly don't care, not because the relationship meant nothing, but because you finally say, "This happened. I didn't want it to happen, but it happened." There's something incredibly powerful about that sentence, because acceptance isn't saying, "I'm happy about this." Acceptance is saying, "I'm done fighting reality." And that's when you can finally start doing something with the pain, because the pain has energy. And I think we make a mistake when we believe we're supposed to just get rid of it. You're probably not going to wake up one morning and suddenly not miss her. There might be a song that brings everything back. You might drive past somewhere you used to go together. You might have a completely normal Tuesday, and then out of nowhere you think about her. That's being human. Don't beat yourself up for that. But you do get to decide what happens next. The pain can sit inside you and slowly consume you, or you can give it somewhere to go. Take that energy you were spending trying to get her back and build something with it. Not for her, for you. Because if you're going to hurt anyway, you might as well come out of it stronger. And I'm not talking about becoming some emotionless guy who never cares again. I'm talking about taking something that broke your heart and refusing to let it be the thing that breaks your life. That's different. Maybe you start taking care of yourself again. Maybe you finally pursue something you've been putting off. Maybe you build something. Maybe you become more disciplined. Maybe you simply start waking up every morning and deciding that you're going to participate in your own life again. Whatever it is, give the pain somewhere to go. Because you don't get to choose whether it hurt, but you do get a say in what the hurt becomes. And I wish I understood that when I was going through it, because I know I did spend so much energy thinking about how to get my ex back. And when I look back at the version of myself, I don't judge him. I understand him. He was hurt. He didn't want to lose something that mattered to him. He wanted another chance. There's nothing pathetic about that. But eventually, I had to stop asking, "How do I get her back?" and start asking, "What am I doing with myself?" That question changed everything, because suddenly the future wasn't dependent on what she decided. It was dependent on what I decided. And maybe that's what letting her go actually means. It doesn't mean you stop loving her tomorrow. It doesn't mean you erase her from your memory. It doesn't mean you pretend the relationship wasn't important. It means you stop standing at the door, waiting for somebody else to decide whether you're allowed to walk forward. You can love somebody and still let them go. You can miss somebody and still move on. You can wish things had worked and still accept they didn't. Those things can exist together, and maybe that's the part nobody tells you. You don't need to hate her to move forward. You don't need to prove she was wrong. You don't need her to regret leaving. You don't even need her to understand what she meant to you. You just need to accept that her story with you may have ended, while yours is still being written. So let me ask you something. If you knew, with absolute certainty, that she was never coming back, what would you do differently tomorrow? Not 5 years from now, tomorrow. Would you keep checking your phone? Would you keep wondering what she's doing? Would you keep replaying that last conversation? Or would you finally give yourself permission to live? Because maybe you've been waiting for her to give you closure, when the closure was never going to come from her. Maybe you have to give it to yourself. And I know that sounds simple, but it's not. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do, to look at somebody you still love and accept that loving them doesn't mean you're supposed to have them. That's a brutal lesson, but sometimes the lesson that hurts the most is the one that changes you the most. And here's what I hope you remember. One day, you might look back at this person, and instead of asking, "Why didn't she come back?" you might ask, "Who did I become because she didn't?" And maybe you'll realize you became stronger. Maybe you became more confident. Maybe you learned how to love without losing yourself. Maybe you finally learned that your worth isn't determined by who chooses you. Maybe losing her forced you to meet a version of yourself you never would have met otherwise. And that's the part I don't want you to miss. Because right now, you might think the goal is to get her back. But maybe the real goal is to get you back. The guy you were before you started checking your phone every 5 minutes. Before you started questioning your worth. before your entire mood depended on somebody else's decision. He's still there. You just have to start looking for him again. So, let her go. Not because she didn't matter. She probably did. Not because you didn't love her. Maybe you did. Not because you suddenly stopped caring. You probably haven't. Let her go because you can't spend your life waiting for somebody who has already chosen to leave. And maybe that's not going to hurt for a while. Let it. Don't run from it. Don't be ashamed of it. Feel it. Then use it, because your life is still happening. There are people you haven't met yet, places you haven't been, things you haven't built, versions of yourself you haven't become, and none of that is waiting for her permission. You don't need her to come back for your story to continue. You don't need her apology. You don't need her regret. You don't need one final conversation that magically makes everything make sense. You can close the door yourself. And maybe that's the hardest part. Because when you close that door, there's no guarantee of what comes next. But there is something waiting on the other side, your life. And maybe for the first time in a long time, you get to walk toward it. So if you're still waiting for her, I understand. I know I did. But eventually, you have to decide. Are you going to keep standing at the door? Or are you finally going to walk through your own? Because maybe she isn't coming back. And as painful as that is, maybe that's exactly how your next chapter begins. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the Gentleman's Project for more honest conversations about dating, confidence, and becoming the best version of yourself. And let me ask you this. Have you ever had someone you couldn't let go of? What finally helped you accept that it was time to move forward? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.